Yeah, are they? They
Hello
still
and
on the
welcome to the
field.
DC Stewart Show podcast. I'm your host, Derek Stewart. Welcome everybody to a huge college football Saturday. We've had some really big games today, and we had a game yesterday, Florida State and Virginia. We'll talk a little bit about that one because Florida State laid an egg in that one, which we were kind of hoping for Florida State to go into the Miami game next week undefeated, but that's not going to happen. So we'll cover that game. We looked at some games earlier today. We'll go over the college scoreboard. Thank you for joining us as the viewer, because we always appreciate when you come and hang out with us, because we do consider you family. The Georgia-Alabama game is going to get started shortly. I think they're going to be kicking off shortly. And once they do, we're going to be covering this game and giving our input into this game, play by play. And we're going to be kind of going over some of the players and, some of the strategies on how each one of these teams is going to go about trying to win this game tonight. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button, because, once you do that, it's helping us with the algorithm. And we are doing extremely well. We thank our international viewers, because we've had quite a few of them come in, and they've been supporting us over the last probably year. And we love the fact that people overseas are watching us and watching our content and watching our topics of discussion. I got my main other half here, Isaiah. He's not wearing one of his killer caps today, but you know what? He looks equally as handsome. I mean, he's always here. He's always prepared, ready to go. Najee will be back with us on Monday, so he's away on assignment right now. So we'll definitely, be looking forward to Najee's input on Monday on our weekend recap, because we always have a recap stream on Monday morning. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Isaiah and see how his day went today, and then we'll get a little bit of my day out of the way, and then we'll kick it off and we'll get going.
Hey man, I had a little bit of exhaustion, man. I had a full day yesterday and watched some of that Florida State game where they went double overtime and they came up short. It was a game down to the wire where that receiver walks out of the back of the end zone, just playing like he was having a juggling fit, and
Yeah.
that not holding control of that ball allowed him to actually lose the game, because if you know how college football rules are, you got to go for a touchdown, then you got to go for an extra point in the first series, then you got to go for two the next series. So they didn't get that touchdown, and Virginia got their touchdown, which means ultimately Florida State lost the game. And it was mayhem after the game. Boy, those fans
Those
swarmed that
students, those
field.
students rushed the
Woo!
section, boy.
Listen, man, you couldn't even see any of the players, none of the coaches. They couldn't even greet each other or say, "Good game, guys." None of that. It was so many students and fans on the field. It was a sea of just fans, man. You couldn't see anybody. So that's how the game closed out. But Florida State's got to feel really bad, because I was hoping, like you just said, DC, they'll go into the game with Miami next week undefeated, so they'll have that Florida rivalry, Florida, Miami and Florida State rival, and we already took care of Florida. So I just really wanted that game to be somewhat of a balance, to have both teams undefeated. But now that's not necessarily so. But what I do want to happen is all of my buddies that lives in the panhandle, y'all better get ready for a good whoop, because y'all
They gonna
used to
get a good
get
whooping
beat.
next weekend, huh?
Woo! They quiet now, man. I sent them a text last night, and lips was sealed quick as you could hear nothing, man. Woo! They didn't even respond, but that's okay. They my buddy, so I'm not gonna rub it in too much until we take care of this here business next week. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait, DC. We got to do something big on that game when we cover it, man. We were supposed to have a big old lunching today and have like a tailgate atmosphere with the food and the drinks and all that stuff. Came up short this week, but I tell y'all, next
We'll
week
be ready next
it's
week.
going to go down.
Absolutely. We will definitely be ready next week for sure.
Woo!
Um, it's all about those
Mm-hmm.
U. We got that U. We're not gonna get the U out of the way. So we're currently streaming live on YouTube. I have the game on. I'm watching, so you'll see me looking up every now and then at my TV and in my studio here, and we'll go from step to step, play to play. One thing is for sure is one of these teams is going to come out the victor tonight, and it's going to put them well in control of their own destiny in the SEC. Because both of these teams, one's from the SEC West, one's from the SEC East. The SEC stands for Southeastern Conference. It's been a dynamic conference ever since I can remember, when I was old enough to start remembering football and conferences. To tell you a little bit about my day, I had a really good day today. Yesterday was a little busy for me, but other than that, got up, was able to stretch, do some of the things I wanted to do today. And the most important thing is being here with you today, your family, and we love the fact that you're here with us again, once again. And we're going to give you the best of what we have to offer to you as you know, a duo. And then when we have Najee, we have a trio, but we have a so dynamic of a show because Najee brings a perspective from basketball. We bring you a perspective from football. Najee knows both, just as we know a little bit about basketball, but we have that delicate balance here at the DC Stewart Show podcast. And continue to follow us on all of our other social media platforms because we appreciate that. We have Instagram and we have Facebook. And right after the show today, we're going to be going over the top 10 safety GOATs, NFL safeties of all times, presented by Freebird Tony, who's a big avid follower of ours. And we wanted to go over his list because, you know, he's got a really good list. I think you're going to be happy with it because I was very impressed and happy with it. Looks like the players are getting ready to come out onto the field. They just left the tunnels. They're playing in Athens, Georgia. Athens is an electric town. I mean, I've been to Athens several times because I lived in Atlanta, and University of Georgia is very unique with the environment there. It's a very artsy, very creative environment. A lot of good music groups came out of there as well. And we're going to suck in this game. One thing I want to say is Kalen DeBoer, who took the job at Alabama several years ago when Nick Saban retired, he's got a lot, you know, of planning to do in terms of how this game is going to be structured, with the technically what type of strategy they're going to be coming with. Because if they come with the right kind of strategy, that will keep them in this game. I suspect Georgia's going to always play like they play at home at Sanford Stadium. They don't lose at Sanford Stadium, so this would be a huge win for Alabama. It would be a huge win for Kalen DeBoer because he laid an egg against Florida State in the first game. They need to gain respectability back by winning this game tonight. I don't care how they win it, good, bad, ugly, scratching, clawing. They can win it by half a point or a point, but they do need to win it tonight. And I think one of the main ways they're going to win is going to be in the trenches. As Isaiah and myself always say, the trenches is won and lost in the trenches. And both of these teams got really good defensive players and offensive players. And Alabama's got a good defensive line, and Georgia's got an exceptional defensive line. So, Isaiah, I'm going to open it up because it looks like they're talking with the two coaches right now. And which one do you think is going to have the best strategy for the first half? Because they're not going to show each other the whole caboodle the first half. So which coach would you go with as having the right kind of strategy for the first half to gain control of this game?
Well, I think Georgia will. I'm actually wanting to pull for Alabama. I think Alabama has been like a part of my DNA because my parents is from there. But I think Georgia actually got the upper hand. I think they're well coached. I think they got a little bit more talent. They've been around longer because Alabama just got this new coach a couple years ago. But and he's on the hot seat. He's got to win more. He came out and laid that egg, like you said, in the first game when they lost against Florida State. And I'm going to tell you, those Alabama fans hadn't forgot him for that yet. They ain't going to forget that. If he lose this one and he lose against Alabama, man, he might start filling out some more applications somewhere else because they don't like to lose games, especially more than 1 or 2 games a year. And then they got an uphill battle, man, because they got to still play Auburn, and Auburn is playing pretty good ball. But like you said before, Alabama has had this tradition of winning. And I mean, Saban was there for a decade, and then they gave him the key to the city. They gave him a ton of money, and he did what he was supposed to do by going there and just winning championships for them. But tonight, I think it's going to be all Georgia. I think it's going to be Georgia.
I think so too. I have to agree with you. But the biggest important thing that we need to stress is Alabama needs to be competitive in this game, and they need to stay in this game. They can't let Georgia get out in front of them and start to, peel back, because that's what happens when teams get out ahead. They start to unleash and peel back the way they rush, the way that they bring that heat. And Alabama's got to, they got to offset that. And that's what Kalen DeBoer's strategy has to be, because if they don't have a strategy to offset some of that, I think they're going to be steamrolled tonight. I'm hoping a closer game. I want to see it come down to the wire, kind of like what Georgia was up against 2 weeks ago against Tennessee, when they came up, the victor at Tennessee. One thing is for sure is, man, these two teams, especially Georgia and what Kirby Smart has done at Georgia, I mean, is legendary as Vince Dooley is and was at Georgia during his time at Georgia. He won a national championship in the early 80s with Herschel Walker in that team. Kirby Smart is just, he has set a new precedent. He has set the highest bar I've seen at Georgia since Vince Dooley retired, because they had some good coaches come up in there. But they have done nothing even close to what Kirby Smart has done for this program. And if you ask me right now, it's only 2 coaches. I would think 2 of the top coaches in the NCAA is Kirby Smart and Ryan Day at Ohio State. Now, these are my choices. This is my particular preferences as far as I see the greatness in coaches. Isaiah, who would you say? Because I know Mario Cristobal and a lot of these guys are gaining a lot of steam and they're catching up. But Kirby has established himself to put himself in a class all by himself, right?
Yeah, you mentioned Kirby, and I you love Cristobal. Only thing, Cristobal hadn't won a national championship, but he's embarking on one this year, and I surely want him to pull this thing off because he's got everything in his corner. He's got all the things surrounding him now. He's got a great coaching staff. He's got a quarterback that's off the rails, and his defense and offensive line is just blowing people off the ball, or either just getting penetration in these, on the other side of the ball. So I'm loving the University of Miami, man, and Cristobal just got these guys on the right track. So yeah, he's my number 1 guy, and then is Kirby second. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so many other coaches that we could bring into this fold. Kirk Cignetti at Indiana, he has done a phenomenal job. I mean, he left James Madison and went to Indiana, and he turned to Indiana on a dime, just like that. And he is another great coach, up and coming great coach that's going to be around for a long, long time. So the reason I brought up Kirby Smart and Ryan Day is they have won championships, and they have won multiple championships, and they have established themselves as elite coaches, and that goes across the board for recruiting. That goes across the board for putting their products on the field constantly, consistently, and able to bring about a lot of success, when it comes to coaching. Coaching is not easy. It's not easy at the college level. It's not easy at the pro level. It's not even easy at the high school level. To build a dynamic organization and keep it going and keep it winning. Saban was able to do it. He's one of the few coaches that was able to come along and change multiple schools. I mean, he did it at Michigan State. He did it at LSU. And he did it at Alabama. And if you look at what Kirby has done, Kirby spent quite a bit of his time as defensive coordinator for the Crimson Tide, the Alabama Crimson Tide. So you can't count out the fact that Alabama is going to play hard. It looks like Alabama's quarterback, Ty Simpson, he's just got a first down. So it's going to be a duel between the quarterbacks tonight and what kind of decisions they make. What do you think each quarterback needs to do tonight to lead their team to victory?
Well, both of those guys can scramble. Both of them can maneuver. Both of them are scary to me because you just can't anticipate what they're going to do. I think they're both good quarterbacks, and that's why they start on these elite teams like this. The ones that makes that connection with their receiver the most, the ones who can sustain drives going up and down the field, are the one that's going to be victorious, man. Because the balance of the teams are pretty great. I mean, both of them got well coached staffs, and it's just a pleasure to watch these teams every week because they're going to put a good product on the field. So I'm just eager to see even the dynamic of this first half and then going on to the second half to see who's going to make their adjustments to close out the game. Because there's always a chess match the way these teams are played because they ain't going to show you everything they want to do until the second half because they're not going to let you get an opportunity to make those severe adjustments, in the
Oh, he
first
dropped
period
it. He
of the
dropped
game.
it.
Yeah,
Alabama receiver was wide
wide
open.
open.
Wide open. And these are the type of plays he has to make. That is not
Yeah,
acceptable to drop that pass when you got two defenders
yeah,
beat like that. It's just
yeah.
unacceptable.
That's the
I mean, that
Georgia
was a play
receiver.
action style pass. He was wide open down the middle and he dropped it. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Now, I can tell you this that plays like that can cost you a football game in some instances as well. But Alabama and Georgia are going to have to establish effective running games tonight, too. They're going to have to be able to run the ball because they can't run the ball. Those defenses could just pin down on the pass. So you got to be able to run it in order to pass it. It looks like both of these teams are pretty good running teams. So it's going to depend on whether each
yeah,
team's offensive line can go up against the other team's defensive line and be able to gain control of the line of scrimmage because, at the end of the day, that's what it's going to boil down to. I think he watched the ball in, but it hit his pads. I mean, the ball came in, it hit his pads, and it bounced right out. And I'm pretty sure the wide receivers coach is talking with him as well right now. People make mistakes, so this young man. I mean, if he didn't catch the ball, there should be other opportunities for him to be able to make up the difference for that drop. I think personally. What do you think about that?
well, these guys has to settle down. Once there's a big game like that, some of these guys are nervous, and they got all this the fans there. There's always a packed house when both of these teams are playing. But the good coaches know how to kind of brattle their players and get them to calm down because they're so agitated when they go into a game like this and they're so hyped up. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you make severe mistakes by being overconfident and hyped like that. So this concentration just got to set in. That's all. Just start to concentrate. Yeah.
Exactly, and as I said before, some points in the game there's going to be a critical moment for Alabama and Georgia to be able to take control. I mean, if you got a receiver now, if you ask me 10 years ago, 5 years ago, had Jerry Judy, you had Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs. That would have been a touchdown to me.
Yeah.
That would have been a touchdown. They would have sailed right on in because those guys didn't drop passes, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't want to
Well,
be critical of this young man. I don't want to come off as being critical of him because it could easily happen to anyone, basically.
yeah,
So
that was
Simpson
just
is
settled down.
he's lucky on that one. Simpson was basically rolling out of the pocket and he was locked in on one of his receivers, but I guess he didn't see that linebacker right there in front of the receiver covering him.
Let's see how far you are ahead of me.
Yeah, it looks as though he didn't see the coverage. That could have been a pick six. He could have easily went the other way with it. So it looks like 2nd and 10, Alabama offense. Simpson is in the shotgun, and they're gonna have to reel off this running yardage. I mean, Simpson is gonna throw, and he's gonna get success throwing, but they're gonna have to establish the run. Something Alabama technically hasn't done since Saban got out of there, because he always had running back after running back after running back, 1-2 punches as well. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, they were always reloading when Saban was there. They would have running backs, like you say, and receivers
And
back
receivers.
to back. Man, they was reloading. Yes, and quarterbacks too. And their quarterbacks was always changing up but all of them had the same tangibles in terms of being able to run the ball and be able to read defenses and things like that. So we'll see how this game progresses and see if this quarterback what they have right now can do everything that he's accustomed to having as a quarterback.
Well, if they give him time, he's going to have the time to be able to, check down his 1, 2, 3 options. This is a big night for Simpson, I would say. Gunner Stockton too for Georgia. It's a big night for both of these quarterbacks because one of them are going to come out victorious, and if Simpson can go in and establish this offense and control this offense under his leadership, I think this is going to definitely put a lot of spotlight on Simpson in a very positive way throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah,
Because this is kind of
DC, you
a
notice how
breakout kind of game for Simpson against the type of competition that he's playing against tonight. Wouldn't you agree with that?
yeah, I was just going to mention to you, DC, how deep the DBs are playing from Georgia. I mean, they're giving them a big cushion. I don't usually see that too often anymore. This guy's playing like 10 yards away from the receiver,
I
and it
think
allowed him to just punch open there.
I
And I
think
don't know
that
whether he should
Georgia
be
is
giving
not
that
going to
receiver
get
that
beaten.
respect.
Right.
Deep.
I
That's a
think
lot of
Georgia's
cushion there.
not going to get beaten over the top. They don't plan on it tonight. They know
They
how
should. They
dangerous.
got playing that deep.
Well, I know they know how dangerous Alabama's offense in terms of throwing deep balls is because they've watched film, obviously. So Alabama does have that deep ball threat, and Simpson can throw it deep. So I agree with you. Why would you play so far back to try to protect against that when because what they're going to do is
You
the
got to
offense
take
from
it.
Alabama is just going to take what they give them, right? They're going to take the short, the intermediate
Of
outs,
course,
the
and that's what
15
he's
and
doing
outs, the
so
15
far.
and
To
ins,
run
right?
your little curls and yes, and then march down the field by getting first downs every series. You get a 3rd and 7, and you hit some pass underneath, and you get a first down, and that's what it's doing. And they're going to drive down the field like that. It's a good
Exactly.
way to get you an easy touchdown when
Not
they're
only
playing
that, it
that deep.
chews up a lot of clock too. I mean, it chews up a lot of clock
Yeah,
for the offense because if they're driving down little by little, Georgia's going to have to start inching those defenders up a little bit into the box, and they're going to have to bring them as close as they can because this is a perfect time. And Kalen DeBoer is an offensive mind. He's very very talented with his play calling with the offense. Even when he was at Washington, I mean, Washington was a deep ball threat. They had Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. could throw it deep. That one year, Washington was able to run the table and get to the final against Michigan. They came up short, but they had a really explosive offense when Kalen DeBoer was at Washington that last year. He was at Washington and they lost that national championship. So he does know how to scheme and he knows how to strategize for this type of defense that Georgia's playing because they're gonna take what they're given. I think bubble screens would be perfect. I mean, to throw screens to be able to mix that run in with those screens and those 10 yards and outs or those 10 yards and ins. Georgia's gonna have to do something about that. They're gonna have to come up with an answer. And if they don't, it might be a long night for them too. You know?
well, when you play your DBs that deep, I think you need to cheat your linebackers back a little tad too, because at least the linebackers could cover the curl when you do it. So I haven't seen them made that adjustment yet. So we'll see.
Yeah. They're showing highlights of past games of the year that Alabama's receivers have dropped balls that they had in their hands and they could have scored on some of those plays, you know?
Yeah. hmm This is today, and wow. I mean, one thing I can see the ones that they're showing drop the ball, and I was mentioning that last week. A lot of these kids, when you don't catch it with your hands, you drop it. When you try to trap the ball with your shoulder pass, that ball is coming so hard and it hits you in the chest and it ricochets right out.
Yes,
Players need to start back to catching it with their hands, man.
they do.
You get accustomed to catching it with your hands, you don't have to worry about all of these drops.
Exactly. And the way that he dumped that ball in there, to me, he could have caught it
Yeah,
with his hands. He didn't have to let that ball hit him on the body to try to trap it and keep it. I think
yeah,
he could have caught it with his hands and went right on in, sailing in the end zone for a touchdown. Alabama would already be on the board. So it looks like it's 1st and 15 with 9:53 left in the first quarter. They're playing at Georgia in Sanford Stadium. Alabama's running back. He didn't gain much. And that's the quickness about Georgia's defensive line and the quickness about their linebackers. It seemed like Kirby bring these type of kids up into Georgia. I mean, super speedy, super aggressive, quickness, all of the agility, intangibles that they need. They get to the ball just like boom, just like a pack of wild dogs, to be honest with you. So Williams is coming back in. He dropped the pass earlier for a touchdown. It is 2nd and 13, and it's still 0-0. Game just got started. Looks like they just threw kind of yeah, that's a good play. Threw out in the flat
yeah.
on a
One
kind of
thing
a flat screen
about
type of play. Bernard.
yeah,
And see, that was motion right there. So if you look at the motion, Georgia's defender, that freezes a lot of their defenders who's assigned to that one particular player, because a lot of times a cornerback will follow him across, or either a linebacker, or either whoever's assigned to be based on the defensive call. That was a very good play call on
yeah.
Alabama's part on offense.
Georgia was confused on that play.
Yep.
They were really confused. They was outmanned on that right side.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you do. You get it where you can overload that particular side based on the structure of the play. And that's more than likely designed, I would think. Because if you overload that side, that means he has blockers out in front of him once he catches that screen. And again, it's matchups sometimes. It's player-on-player matchups. The wide receivers take the defenders down the field, and then you throw a pass out in the flat, and he's running with it with their backs to him. So it looks like it is 2nd and goal. Alabama's got a full. See, he just called timeout. Simpson just called timeout. It looked like they had a heavy package in there, like it was going to be a run type of play, according to what I saw. But let's kind of get on a little bit of talk about what Florida State had going on yesterday. Once again, I told you Tommy Castellanos is a very dynamic player. It's the best move ever for him to come down to Florida State, because a year earlier than that, DJ Uiagalelei, who was a 5-star blue chipper player from California, ended up at Clemson. He ended up going into the transfer portal and going to Florida State, and it was a complete disaster. I mean, Florida State, that was the worst season Florida State ever had. I'm not blaming that on DJ. However, it didn't seem like he was able to gather a full control of that offense and the flow of that offense. Castellanos has came in and done the opposite. He has gained full control, and he understands the offensive schemes and things that's needed, and he can run with the ball, and that's really dynamic for him, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. Well, it seems like he's got like a cohesive gel with his receivers, and he move. He don't wait for these guys to come open. Sometime if they're covered, he tuck the ball and run. That's a sign of a polished quarterback, and he got him out of a lot of trouble by doing that, because he's using his legs to move that ball up and down the field. Now, yesterday was a really, really good game. I mean, that's what college football is really all about, man. The competitiveness of that game, all the way down to the wire. Florida State came up short, but bro, I guarantee you they're going to learn from this game. And I want my Hurricanes to go in town and they don't play these guys soft because they lost last night, because they really got a good team and they didn't quit because they was getting their butt beat and they came and scored 2 touchdowns within 7 minutes to tie
Right.
this thing on to go into overtime. So they got a good team, but it's just like it always say, who can persevere at the end of the game, and in just that a matter of concentration. And that's what we just got through talking about with Alabama's and Georgia's receiver. They're dropping these balls. It's about concentration. The moment that ball touch your hand, you got to claw it and take it in. And if they would have done that last night, it would have been another round of overtime. It would have went into the third overtime, perhaps, because he just dropped the ball at the end. It was 4th and 12, and he needed a touchdown. 12 yards from the goal, and he needed a touchdown to continue the game, and he bobbled the ball going out of bounds and foolish. And I'm gonna tell you right now, last night they really, really, really wanted to get it right, because they put that damn thing in slow mo so many times to make sure that call was on point. It was correct. And when I looked at it, I just really looked at it sharp. He seemed to be bringing the ball in, but just before he went out of bounds, he had no control of that ball. And of course, the ruling on the field was correct. He didn't catch it.
He
He
didn't
dropped it.
control the ball before he
Yeah,
stepped out. I mean,
yeah,
that's reality. People probably are going to kind of shape
yeah.
it the
They're
way
gonna
that
be
they
pissed
want to
because they
shape
were.
it
Yeah,
based on
hmm,
what they saw, because it's a
yeah,
perspective and everything is subjectivity as far as I'm concerned. I saw him bobble the ball, and then I saw him not secure the ball and it not move again.
yeah.
And
Right,
before he just didn't secure it. I mean, they could shape it any
right,
way they want to. That was an excellent call from upstairs.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
glad these conferences in college football has incorporated that into college football. And I think the NFL has been doing it, but the NFL is not as effective as college football to me, because it
yeah,
seems like they're making the right calls with college football. I haven't seen them made a mistake
yeah.
from upstairs yet.
No.
Touchdown, Alabama.
Well, this year I haven't seen him make a mistake yet.
Hmm. Looks like Alabama just scored. Jeremy Bernard, and it looks like they're on the board first, and that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good
Yeah,
drive. I would say
pretty
that
good
is
drive.
a
Yeah.
perfect drive for them to come back
Hmm.
after that touchdown drop. Touchdown would have been a definite touchdown drop, and Alabama was able to push this thing down the field and score first. And a lot of times when you score first, it gives you confidence. It gives your players confidence.
Of course it
It-
does. Yes.
yeah, and it gives them the
You
momentum
see,
that they can play with Georgia in this game. They can compete.
yeah. Well, DC, I was looking at the score, not the scoreboard, but the pattern of all the top tens this week. There's going to be a huge shift,
Oh, it's going to be a big
in
time shakeup on
oh
Monday.
man,
I think
yes,
the
it's going to be
polls
a
come
huge
out
shift.
tomorrow afternoon, I want to
Hmm.
say.
Hmm.
And getting back to Florida State and Virginia, I think Tony Elliott at Virginia has done a really good job with that program. The University of Virginia is a very high. It's a very high prestigious school. Most people don't know that the school is in Charlottesville, Virginia. I knew some people in Georgia had graduated from UVA, and it's a great school. It's been always a great school for basketball, just like a lot of those other Big East teams that join the ACC. And they have Tony Elliott has taken that team to the next level, and this was a game-defining win. This was a huge win for that program last night, to be able to beat
Yep.
Florida State at home. And the whole game, I watched, I would say 98% of the game, Virginia's defensive line and offensive line controlled the game. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Florida State they could not, their offensive line could not block Virginia consistently enough to establish any kind of dominance with offensive play calling or, or moving the ball down the field, right?
Yeah, and that's the reason why Florida State found themselves in a hole in the first half, and then they had to struggle to get back into it in the last quarter. But it shows you that FSU just don't have any quit in those guys, man. So, because they could have very well just say, forget it. They were down. It was a last part of the game, and they fought to the bitter end. And of course, they, tied it up and went overtime twice and lost. But I'm still afraid of those guys, man, because
Oh, for
you
sure.
don't know what they're
They're
going
gonna
to
try to
bring.
bash Miami over the head next Saturday.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And it's prime for that because Florida State is going to already be ready to play. They're going to be ready to take the field
And they're going to be
because Mike
home.
Norvell, he has those kids ready. Mike Norvell is one of the better coaches in college football, and he prepares his team well, and he coaches well. I thought he coached a pretty decent game last night. It's just that
He did.
Virginia's determination and their motivation was to control the line of scrimmage, which they did, and Tony Elliott was able to call the right plays. And Virginia's quarterback, he played off the charts last night, and even if their running game as well. Looks like Georgia's running back just broke over a 30-yard run. Frazier Jr. just broke a big run. But when you are the champion and when you are a very prestigious program like Florida State, legacy program, this team's going to always be up to beat you. They're going to be ready to beat you.
Yeah.
They're going to be ready to beat you because even if you have the superiority in terms of your talent, that team might not be as superior with the talent level as your team, but they're still going to be ready to bash you over the head and take the game and control the game. That was a big hit, right?
Big hit.
Yeah, that was a huge hit.
Mm-hmm.
Domani Jackson, 6'1", 196. He's from San Diego, California. Alabama's defensive back. Second and 10. Looks like Georgia's running it again. And Georgia looked like they're moving the ball a little bit. They're moving the ball with a little bit better smoothness between those tackles. And that looks like that's where they're running right now. But Georgia needs to win this game as well. If Georgia wants to stay in the hunt, because the SEC is just so freaking competitive with all the teams. Mississippi beat LSU today. We'll talk a little bit about that one as well. But Georgia definitely has to win this game if they're going to stay in complete control and control their own destiny with having an undefeated record. Or should I say, having an undefeated record moving into the latter part of the season, I would say. One thing is for sure, if you're going to lose, it's best to lose early in the season than later in the season when it comes to that playoff system.
Yeah, but you can only lose
one. If you're going to lose, you better go and lose now. You're going to be able to take your loss, get your medicine right now.
You can lose one.
Yeah, you can lose one for sure.
Only one. You anything else, you can't lose because you're going to be out of it, no matter how you cut it. You can't go into no championship or the playoff losing 2 games.
Well, Alabama,
you can't do it.
Alabama cannot afford to lose this game because they'll put them at 2-2. They can't lose 2 games in the SEC. I'm telling you.
Nope.
They have to win this game. Georgia can afford the loss, which I know Kirby wouldn't agree with me with that because Kirby is about winning. He's not going to play around with that winning. But when it comes to wins or losses, this is Kalen DeBoer's showcase game right here. To say, look,
well, the first one,
yeah, this is one of the first ones because they have beaten some teams in between that Florida State loss that I would even try to measure them on,
Mm-hmm.
So, Virginia got that win yesterday, and that puts a bind on Florida State in a way. But if Florida State, say for example, they beat Miami this coming weekend, which I'm confident they're not. They're not going to beat Miami up there, but if they do, they will be back into somewhat of the driver's seat in the ACC to be able to try to run the table. Now, we don't have to worry about Clemson and North Carolina and those type of teams because, of course, I mean, as far as Miami goes, Miami is the class right now of the ACC, at least one of them. And
Yeah.
Florida State was until they lost last night, being undefeated, and they lost that game. So, we just have to keep an eye out on that.
Well, Florida State messed up because we're gonna go up there and beat them next week, and they're gonna be out of it. So they're gonna
Oh,
have
they're
two
going to be out of
losses.
it when Miami take care of that. Yeah,
They're gonna have, but if they can just only take those two, they'll probably be satisfied because they hit a slump last year where they lost multiple games, and then it just didn't seem like nothing went right for that season.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the game cast, and when I'm looking at the stats from the team-to-team stats from that Virginia-Florida State game, it looks like Virginia's 4-1, 2-0 in the ACC, and it looks like Florida State is 3-1, 0-1 in the ACC, and that's what matters is the ACC conference. Your record in the conference is really going to matter, and that's the same in any conference. That's the SEC, that is the Big Ten, and so on. So it looks like Castellanos passed for 254 yards, 18 out of 32 for 254 yards, one TD, two interceptions. So those two interceptions jump out at me when you look at the two interceptions. And Virginia's quarterback, Morris, had 229 yards, so he threw for 26 out of 35 for 229, two TDs, three interceptions, and Virginia still ended up coming out the victor in this particular game. And it looks like these teams were fairly even, except for the receiving yards. Florida State's receivers, they threw for more yards than Virginia did because it looks like Virginia was more concerned with running than throwing. And sacks, about even. And their star players, about even, So Virginia is, like I said, there was some people talking under their breath about Tony Elliott, whether he was going to survive that Virginia, whether he was going to survive as coach for Virginia. But it looks like this win last night at least took the pressure off of him for another week, I would say. Crowd noise tonight. What were you saying?
I was saying when you have a team like Florida State come in there and they had so many aspirations of being undefeated and they've been playing so well this season until last night. And I don't even think that was a bad game. He just came up short. Virginia got to be feeling real good right now coming off a win like this last night.
Sure. For sure. And it's just going to only give their players more confidence to play even more harder in these coming games because they're going to have they have a tough schedule just as well as Florida State has a tough schedule, So it looks like Alabama was on a 3rd and 7, and they were on a 3rd and 7, and I guess it was an incomplete pass, so they might have to turn it back over to Georgia. No, this is a 3rd and 7. That was a 2nd and 7, a 3rd and 7. And right now, 5 minutes to go, a little bit over 5 minutes in the first quarter.
I really want to see Alabama get their running game going. They're
having a hard time establishing that, but it looks like they just got a first down from Simpson to the tight end.
He put some fire on that ball there, boy.
Yeah, and he had his arm touched by one of the defenders, and he still was able to get it out. That Alabama receiver who caught that was a big play. Looks like Bernard is going to throw it, but he can't throw it, and he's going to lose yards. They got him deep in the backfield back there. That was supposedly set up as a trick play, and it didn't unfold quick enough. I mean, it unfolded too slow, and then I think the receivers downfield was covered.
I think he was going to throw that, DC.
He was going to throw it,
I think he was.
but the receiver was covered.
He was going to throw that ball.
The receiver was covered, and he didn't have an outlet, so he had to eat it. And they tell you to do that in practice. They say if it's nobody there, you eat it. You just take the loss.
No, you don't take the loss. You throw it out of bounds. You don't take the loss.
Well, he had already passed it to Bernard, so you can't pass it. Bernard couldn't throw it out of bounds.
Yes,
At least he could have thrown it downfield, maybe, and tried to throw it out of bounds. True.
Of course, he could have.
Okay, this looks like a screen. So they were able to get a bulk of their yards back. But that is, you are absolutely right, Isaiah. He should have probably thrown that away if he couldn't.
Right.
Just threw it toward out of bounds where a receiver was in the area, and he would have been able to. They would have been able to keep those yards at the line of scrimmage instead of just eating it. Like I initially said, you shouldn't eat the ball. That is true. This is a sold-out game, by the way, too. This is a huge game for both teams. These are neighbors. These two states are neighborly states.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm pretty sure half of Alabama is over into Georgia watching this game at the stadium. You know?
Yes. Yeah.
Because you can make that drive. I don't know how many hours does it take to get from Tuscaloosa to Athens, would you say? Just take a guess.
Probably a couple hours.
Okay.
This don't take too long.
Okay. Because I know Athens is
because you can go from my parents' house in Alabama to Atlanta in a couple hours. It's only 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, if you want to fly in and go to my parents' house, you fly in to Atlanta. It's the closest, and then you just drive over. That's the quickest way to do it. Unbelievable, man. The Alabama act seems like they want to do some type of hurry up offense style of running now.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Oh, he got the first down. He was able to turn it upfield and get the first down. So looks like Alabama has a first down right now. It looks like Colorado is going to be playing BYU later on too. 10:15 Eastern time.
Oh, wow. We might get a chance to see some of that.
True.
Yeah. Who you said Colorado's playing?
BYU. BYU beat them in the Alamo Bowl, handled them last year. So this should have been something circled for BYU tonight. They got to get this game handled because this is a big game for Coach Prime too. Because BYU is no pushover of a team.
Well, Prime need to win out because his season is looking rocky because he don't have his boys in his Gucci bags and his Louis over there. So he need to make a stand for not even having his boys there because it was all focused on them last year. He's got to be able to win without those guys. Yeah.
So it looks. I just measured the distance between Tuscaloosa and Athens, and it's 279 miles.
Which is about a 3-hour drive.
About a 3-hour drive, yeah. And probably any other part of Alabama as well. I mean, because Athens is, like I say, you drive over state line, you're in Georgia, then you cover that ground in Georgia, and you pass through Atlanta, unless you go up above Atlanta to get to Athens. But so this looks like Alabama 3rd and 2. And he got the first down. So it looks as though what you mentioned earlier, that Alabama has a lot of mixture in their play calling so far right now. It looks like Kalen DeBoer is calling a lot of different misdirection type of plays if you look at it, because if you look at the motion, when you motion players, the defense has to assign someone to motion with that player, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And what happens is it looks like Georgia's defenders, they're just out of position in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a good run.
And it looks like Alabama
run.
is beginning to thread in between that, that particular defense of alignment, because you see those defensive backs, and I agree with you, they're backing up really deep because I don't think they want the deep ball beyond them.
Well, it's not a good strategy to me
It's a
to
very good
allow these
strategy.
guys.
It's an excellent strategy right now.
No, I don't think it is. To drop these guys so far off.
Oh, I
It's
thought you
not
were
a good
talking about
strategy.
offense. No, a defense is not
No.
a good strategy. I agree with you.
Right.
I thought you were talking about more so from Alabama's offensive perspective. So
No,
I
no, I'm
I
saying
I
Georgia's
misunderstood
defense.
that.
Yeah, Georgia's defense is not a good strategy because if you look at it, Alabama is getting all the momentum on their side because they're moving at will, pretty much. And
Right.
Georgia is just letting them get these small yardage, but then they're getting first down at the first down and they're marching down the field. And you can see they scored a touchdown in the first couple series because of it. And Georgia is not making these adjustments and allowing these guys to march up and down the field.
That's true. That is so true. So let's talk a little bit about another game too. Earlier today, Arkansas got blown out at home by Notre Dame.
Yeah,
It was an embarrassment.
that
And
was an embarrassment.
I like Sam Pittman. I've always said that I like the coach Sam Pittman for Arkansas. They gave him an extra year to get this thing turned around because it's been a rocky road for Arkansas, technically, since he's been there. He's had some good teams, some competitive teams, but on the flip side of that, he's had some teams that technically isn't measuring up in Razorback territory. And right now, 56-13 is they got crushed. I mean, at home.
Yeah.
How do you explain that to the faithful as a coach? Because coaches have to take the responsibility and accountability. But how do you shape that into explaining that you get blown up 56-13 at home, and technically Jeremiah Love had a record day from what I saw, running the ball. And Marcus Freeman looked like a genius today.
He was doing everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeremiah Love had a really good game, man. They had him catching little hitch passes out of the backfield and from scrimmage he ran some good runs. And I think when you get blown out like that, when the offense are allowed to do whatever the hell they want to do, because that's what they did. They did whatever they wanted to do. And they had no answer for it. You start reevaluating everything as a coach. You reevaluate whether you got the players, you got to reevaluate whether you good enough. It's just so many things you have to go back to the drawing board with, and for a bloodbath like that, it questions everything, man, because your guys wasn't ready. You was not coaching right. It's just you didn't make the adjustments. Your team don't have any pride. You didn't do so many things right for the lopsided score like that. Just think about a lot, 56-13,
Yeah,
man.
that's a shameful way to lose at home to
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I was looking at some of the whether Sam Pittman is going to survive this season, and I think he is, and here's why. It looks like basically Pittman is firmly on the hot seat according to what I picked up today. His buyout situation is very unique. If you look at it, if they fire him now, they'll owe him $9.8 million. But if he finishes under 500, it drops to 6.9 million. So I think they may keep him around just to see if he drops under. I mean, if the team gets any better or worse. But I do believe at the end of the season he's going to be gone. I just don't see him surviving this because all of these SEC schools, just as well as Big Ten schools, just as well as ACC schools, but mainly SEC schools, they want to win. They don't want to hear any excuses about this. It didn't happen right or that didn't happen. They want to win. So just think they got all of these different teams that's in the SEC East and West, and they get slaughtered at home like that. That just doesn't make it. Just not going to be pretty at all. And Arkansas has a program just like any other SEC program, LSU and Alabama and Georgia. Those people want to win because they want the best talent up in there, and the boosters are spending the money, right?
Yeah, but one thing, in his behalf, if he can finish out, they'll forgive him for that because they'll say, okay, we got beat by Notre Dame. And
Mm-hmm.
they can kind of swallow that. But if he continue to lose, they'll say he's just not fit because you always going to think of Notre Dame being one of the most high powered schools out there.
Right.
Alabama just scored again.
Yeah. It looks.
So,
It
just
looks.
like I
Looks.
said, they let them guys march up and down the field.
Yes.
This ain't going to, hey, man.
Well, this is this
Kirby,
is this is the thing that Kirby Smart is going to have to keep in mind is they're going to have to make adjustments quick. I mean, they need to make adjustments immediately, not when you get
yes,
into
straight to
halftime.
the half. Yeah.
You need to make adjustments now, and you need to change whatever you're doing on defense because whatever they're doing on offense is making you look bad on defense. They got to do something
I
about
told
that.
you the first thing they're doing is playing too far back.
Mm-hmm.
Because you allowing the guys to get 7, 8 to 10 yards to get first downs, and these first downs move you up and down the field, and they have not stopped them, and that's what they're doing wrong. That's for starters. That's elementary. I don't know how in the hell you don't make adjustment to stop that. They making the freaking at Crimson Town like geniuses over there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. They
It's
are making
bad.
them look like geniuses. So here's a big question for you that I have. So if Notre Dame runs the table and they finish out the whole season, the regular season, and they don't lose again, do you think they should have an opportunity to be slotted into that 12 team rotation? What's your take on
Okay,
it?
you answer this for me before you say anything else. How many games have they lost?
Well, right now they've lost so far. They're 2-2. They're sitting on 2-2 right now. Yeah.
They ain't got no business going nowhere else. They out
So if
of
they
it.
would have lost this game, they would have been technically 1-3. But they even it out at 2-2. So let's take a look at their schedule.
I
I'm
don't
just
care if they
interested
win out,
in
DC. DC, if they win out, they lost 2 games. Discussed this before. You lose 2 games, you're done. Because there's going to be so many teams that only lost uno, and then there are going to be so many teams that's still undefeated. You're going to go into the end of the season with like 3 or 4 teams that's going to be undefeated still.
that's true. That's true.
And then you're going to have several, like 4 or 5 teams that's going to only lose one. And here you're going to try to patch these guys in here with losing 2 games. It's
And they're
not going to
not
happen.
they're not even from a conference either. They can't win a conference championship because they don't belong
They're
to a
not going
conference.
nowhere, man. Well, that's the way how you go in the back door because you don't belong to anybody. But if you lose 2 games, you ain't got no business being even in question. You don't need to be nowhere smelling around nothing if you lose 2 games.
Well, there were several so-called pundits today on TV saying that there is a path for them.
It
I
ain't
mean,
no
I don't
path. Them
see
guys
one.
is gonna
I
get
don't
a,
see one
I don't
because
know what those guys was drinking.
if you look at their upcoming schedule right now, they got Boise State on the next Saturday. They have NC State, and if I can get this computer to unfreeze, they have USC, and they have Boston College, they have Navy, they have Pitt, Syracuse, and Stanford. So if they run
Yeah,
the
they go
table and
very
win out
well.
against all of those
I
teams,
think they're going to DC. I really think that they're going to win the rest of these games and they're going to be sniffing and smelling around looking for a playoff. And as much as I like Notre Dame, I don't want them there because there's going to be too many teams that's going to make it a controversial situation. And that's going to be only losing 1 game or they're going to be undefeated. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it, man, when you try to let these guys sniff around there and they lost 2 games. No matter how they lost or who they lost to, it doesn't matter. The fact remains is they lost 2 games, and there's going to be some unfairness to somebody who only lost 1 game. And I'm just telling you this: that team that lost only 1 game, perhaps Notre Dame would have beaten them too, but they ain't got no business being in no playoffs if they lost 2 games.
Right.
It's just not a fair situation.
Yeah, that's true. Simpson has looked really impressive in this game so far, man. I mean, if you look at how he's
Boy,
carried out his
yes,
his
his
progressions and
boy,
his him
yeah.
able to convert
He's a
stuff
leader,
that
DC. He's a leader, man. I mean,
he is a
he's a
total
leader.
leader. I think he is, and
Yeah,
I think he is the right quarterback that's going to get them there. Now, if Alabama wins this game tonight, I could Simpson should be in the national conversation. Moving toward the end of the year, based on Alabama's schedule, I think. Wouldn't you think so?
yeah, yeah. You talking about in the national in terms of what, the Heisman Trophy or something?
Something similar to maybe a run for the Heisman Trophy, especially if Alabama wins out the rest of the
Yeah,
season.
but we got to see his stats because this is a good looking game for him tonight. But we don't know how his stats going to look at the end. I mean, he's a sure leader for the team, and you could tell he's respected because he's just commanding that offense. Georgia got a good run on this
Yeah, that
play.
was an excellent run right there. And he stayed in bounds for most of the run, which was impressive. He's a big
Well,
guy,
Georgia
too. This
need
is not a
they
small
they,
running
they
back.
they need a spark, man. They really do need a spark,
Well,
and
they need to score
that
on this drive. I mean, if they're going to get anything going, it's the second quarter, of course, so they still have plenty of time. Here's Gunner. Oh, he wide open touchdown. Wide open. I guess the DB fell down. Obviously, he fell down and he just blew a coverage in a major way. How could you blow a coverage like that? Yeah, it looks like wide open. You couldn't
he's
get no
wide
more
open.
wide open than that.
He
Yeah,
walked
he's
in there,
talking.
man.
Kalen DeBoer is talking to the defensive coordinator right now. Look, man, what happened? The DB, look at that. He's beat already. He never really backpedaled into a position to cover the receiver.
Well, that DB looked like he bit on something for
He
that guy
did
to
bit.
scream
He
over
he
like
he,
that.
he thought it probably he was kind of instinctively thinking that it could have been a run or a quick pass.
Yep, that's exactly. No. If he got faked out, DC, he gave him one juke into the middle, in the inside, and that guy bit on it. Yeah, he
Yeah,
got juked.
that was a good route. The way he ran that route was excellent, man. So Georgia's back
Yeah,
in
he
it.
got
This
juked.
is, to me, it's like
Yeah.
they're right back in it, at least. And I said earlier that they needed to score a touchdown in this drive in order to establish that they're going to be competitive tonight and they're going to, take it to Alabama, which I'm glad the game is technically unfolding like this because it's shaping up to be a really good game.
Mm.
So looks like Mike Gundy got let go. He got fired by Oklahoma State. I guess the school's reasoning behind it was just best to do it now than to do it later. Because I guess the school had given up the fact that he wasn't going to be able to regain the type of program that he's had over the past 18 plus years, because that's how long he coached at Oklahoma State University. What do you think about his firing overall?
Well, we talked about this, a couple weeks ago, and a lot of these teams that's pissed, and especially with him, and particularly, you know, he was already on the hot seat anyway, and for something where they fix it where he don't even finish the season out, they already was mad with him.
Right.
So
The
he said, let's
Oklahoma
cut
State
our
faithful,
losses.
right? They were
Yeah, they
already
were already
disappointed
mad
with the
at him,
way the
man.
team was
And them
playing, right?
boosters probably was pissed, at the president of the school, and didn't even want him to have another year.
Right.
And then it's also good to have those boosters watching at it in the president's face saying, see, we was trying to get you to fire this cat last year. Now you let him stay. Now look what's going on. And so they say, man, let's go ahead and cut our losses now then. So that's what could have happened because you're talking about, what, 4 games in the season and you got run off. Man, to me, I just think that for a coach to get fired in the middle of the season, they wasn't going into that season with a positive with you anyway, because you talking about still early in the season and you lose your head coach. That means they wasn't satisfied with you from the beginning
Mm-hmm.
because they already got rid of you. They couldn't take it anymore. So they got rid of this guy, and now I hope they kind of put the interim as the offensive coordinator and let him take on the rest of the season, because that's the kind of the only way you can kind of keep a balance of your staff and your players to respect who's coming in next. Because usually if you got a group of young men that's loving on their coach and then you bring a brand new face in there other than the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator, somebody they're accustomed to, that don't be a good look, man. You lose everything when you do that. You bring a
Mm-hmm.
brand new face in a club of men on a squad like that, a brand new face, that your program is done.
Mm-hmm.
Now you bring that offensive coordinator in there, or defensive coordinator, someone who they're accustomed of being coached by, it can be okay. But yeah, they showing that replay. He bit on that play. He was wide open, wide
Yes.
open.
So here's the thing about Gundy. He spent over 35 years at OSU in the capacity of as a
Yeah,
player and as a coach, all the way back to the point where he was an assistant coach, and then he coached 18 plus years when he was the head coach. To me, he's had a very impressive career, and it's a $15 million buyout, so he's going to walk away pretty. I mean, he's I don't know if he's going to be too worried about his ego may be damaged a little bit, but I wouldn't
that
have any
guy.
kind of damaged ego at all if it was me. I'd walk
Yeah.
away.
In a case like that, man, to be frank with you, it needed to be done. It's just, what have you done for me lately situation that is, man. I mean, you've been there that long. He just should have seen the handwriting on the wall and then give a crap and just say, let them fire me. And that's what happened. The money don't really mean anything to either one of them, him or the school.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've been that stable that long, getting a
Yeah,
paycheck for 18 years, and the way these college coaches get paid now, he's not begging for anything.
true.
His feelings may not even be hurt because he can see the handwriting on the wall. So it was just time. It was of the essence with this
Right.
situation, man. It's just, he should have been having his vacation and everything set out already. I'm getting ready to go
I'm
fishing.
pretty
I'm
sure
getting
he
ready to go.
probably did.
I'm sorry.
I
Come on.
wouldn't say any. I would think he did already have his vacation planned out because
Yeah.
when rumors get to swirling like that, he knows about it. He knows what
Oh, yeah,
probably
he does,
inside
man.
information is
Yes.
swirling around that program. He's
Mhm.
probably got people that told him that, look, man, they're considering getting rid of you, and you got to just be prepared for it when it happens. It's going to happen. Now, he was a name that we talked about it over a year ago that was never mentioned for
Yeah.
being on the hot seat. Never.
Yeah.
He was sitting pretty much at that program up until about 2 years ago, and then they started consistently falling behind and losing. And there are some other coaches in the NCAA that has very similar situations. Kurt Ferentz at Iowa. He's another one. He's been with Iowa. I can't remember how far back when, but Iowa has never technically had a losing season like that, like Oklahoma
Mhm.
State had for the last 2 years. But Ferentz has never gotten them to any national championship type of format where they played to get to the national championship. Iowa's always been a program where I guess they're happy with what what he's doing, and he's been there for a long time. He took over after Hayden Fry, which Hayden
Yeah.
Fry was the coach
They
back in the
was there for
80s.
a long time too.
They had
Yeah.
stand-up tight ends back then, remember? They used to have their tight ends stand straight up.
Yeah.
And Hayden Fry retired out of there. He didn't even have to leave. I mean,
Yeah.
they never mentioned
Well,
about doing anything to him either as far as getting rid of him.
that's what Gundy thought was going to happen. If you think about it, he probably thought he was going to retire. But once these guys be there that long, they got to recognize that, man. When is it enough is enough? You know, when is enough is enough? We realize that you love your profession and your occupation and things like that, but when you start considering this thing as a business and you got to put some rear ends in the seat and your team is not winning, people not happy with the situation that's going on, no matter how much you love your job, how
Mm-hmm.
much you admire the school, you gotta make a decision
That's
to
right.
leave on your own. Otherwise, you're gonna let somebody make that decision for you. In his case, they had to make the decision for him because how is it as your boss, as a president of a school, when you got these boosters telling you, listen, man, you better can this guy, don't we gonna pull that $5 million I usually donate to the university? When stuff like that start to happen, you gotta make some moves.
That's true.
And no matter how much you like them, as a president, you like that football player, you got to do what these folks want. That bottom line is all the ultimate. You just said that he got a $15 million buyout. $15 million buyout is riding around in some of these guys' back pocket who, these boosters' back pocket, the ones who's paying these salaries.
That's
They
true.
don't care about $15 million, man.
That's true.
If I gotta pay this guy $15 million to get rid of him, here it is. Get rid of this guy. And then we'll spend another $15 million to bring somebody in to replace him. Because the only thing they really want to do, first of all, when you got these boosters, they got such pride in these universities and it's
True.
sentimental to them. And they're gonna donate this type of money every year. And if you losing, they gonna do something about it.
Absolutely.
What a good
Looks
hit for
like
him to cough
Alabama
that
just
ball.
recovered a fumble.
Got the
The
ball.
Georgia running back
Yeah,
fumbled the
yeah.
ball right down in their
That
own
was a good
territory on
textbook hit.
almost a 10.
Yeah, that was a textbook
It's a
hit.
disaster. It was a textbook tackle though, right?
Yeah.
You tackle the ball, you go directly and you put your hat
If
on the
if
ball and
they
the ball
if
comes
they
out.
let Alabama score,
Listen, Alabama is fired up. I mean, they're looking good
yeah,
so far.
yeah.
And that was a great tackle by that defensive back, Hubbard, for Alabama.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, DC, if Georgia let Alabama score on this series, that 7 points that they just scored don't mean anything
Yeah, it's
because
just like
that
zero.
is a
It's
total.
technically putting them back at
It's
zero.
just like another zero because that momentum swing came full circle. It totally fell back in Alabama's hand with the momentum right now.
Right. I think Alabama shouldn't get too comfortable though and too conservative with trying to run the ball. They should keep the consistency that Kalen DeBoer has been calling these mixed bag plays, kind of plays that's keeping Georgia's defense off balance in the sense of run pass or screen options, misdirection, bubble screens. They gotta mix all of that in. But Simpson's doing a great job, man, so far.
Yeah,
That was a good fight for the ball. It looked like the defensive back for Georgia. He was all over him. He was draped on him.
man, Simpson look like he's 14 years old. That's just his
He looks
face is
young,
so
right?
young. Yeah,
So right now, looking at some of the scores, it looks like Oregon and Penn State is tied at 3-3 up in Beaver Stadium in
yeah.
Pennsylvania.
I was looking at that.
They have a whiteout night. Everybody's wearing white. This is a game James Franklin has to win. He doesn't have a
Yeah,
choice tonight. He has
yeah,
run out of excuses tonight. he better get this win tonight, because if they don't get this win against Oregon, and Oregon is a very formidable team, there is no more excuses that you can't beat a top 10 team when the chips are down. I mean, because he's playing at home, and Drew Aller, his quarterback, is playing a lot better than he did last year. I mean, especially. So their offensive coordinator, and he's a pretty good offensive coordinator, and I think his name is Andy Kolnicki. By the way, he better call a perfect game tonight as well, because people at Penn State, all of that faithful, is going to run out of patience with James Franklin and his staff. Trust me.
Yep.
And all of that winning he's been doing around all of that, if you can't win the big game, I mean, why would they be happy with you, right?
They're not happy with you. They're not happy with you, and they're going to start putting together some finances to get you out of there, man.
Absolutely.
But this bragging right thing runs deep.
It does. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Because a lot of CEOs, a lot of presidents of companies, a lot of people who are in powerful places, they love bragging on their school. They go to work, look, when my school beat your school, it's like you and I. Look, I went here and we took care of that business this year. You guys couldn't get it handled, you know?
And they donate millions upon millions of dollars to these institutions, and you lose it. That don't sit well at all with these folks. So he's really got to come off with this game.
He's got to get a win tonight. And as far as I'm concerned, because I like James Franklin, so let me clarify and clear the air here. I like James Franklin. I think he's a damn good coach. I think he's done a fantastic job at Penn State, especially with recruiting and keeping that program really up at the top tier of college football. But when you are going year in and year out and you can't win against big teams, I mean, you can beat the bit smaller teams, but you can't seem to beat the bigger teams, the Michigans, the Ohio State.
That's where
and to have Oregon come up in there and beat them, I wouldn't think people would be happy with that.
Well, Oregon, it don't sound sexy, but Oregon have a great team.
They do have a great program. I mean, absolutely.
And the thing is, people don't realize that, but Oregon has quietly kicked a lot of rear end the last 5 years, man. At least the last 5 years. They've been consistently winning. So
especially since Dan Lanning got there. Dan Lanning, he was the defensive coordinator under Kirby at Georgia, and he went to Oregon, and it was like it was a perfect match. How could you get a coach when that team was kind of in disarray, or that organization, the school, when Mario Cristobal bolted out of there to go back home? I mean, they were pretty ticked off. And they were scrambling, trying to get the right fit for coaching. Sure enough, they did it.
Well, the reason why they were ticked off by Cristobal had turned their program around to an elite team, winning consistently. He the one started that, because they were like a roller coaster before Cristobal came in there and straightened it out. And that's why they extended his contract. He actually lost money coming here to Miami, because they was going to pay him more. They didn't want him to leave. But in Cristobal's case, you got to think about something, man. It's homegrown Miami guy. He went to University of Miami. He went to high school here. He did everything here into a job to open up like that. That's a dream come true situation for him.
True.
And it don't all boil down to the money aspect of it. It's just the fact that he's got his mom here still, and his family, all his roots are here, and you got an opportunity to coach at your old alma mater. That's a huge deal.
That to me is a no-brainer when it comes to making a decision on that, right? It's a no-brainer.
DC, you get out of that damn ice, man. It's cold as hell in Oregon, man.
Yeah,
and for him to come around and walk around with shorts on and short sleeve shirts almost all year round, you don't think he want to get out of that ice? So he came here and stayed, and now he's got our program back on track.
I'm not knocking Cristobal for that, because I'm happy he did it. He made the decision that he made. And, you know, it worked out for both parties, because it worked out for Oregon in big time. I mean, they were in the national championship last year. So they lost to Ohio State. And, you know, I kind of predicted that was going to happen, because I thought some of the talent that they were playing at Ohio State was... You know, Ohio State has superior talent, and since we on that mention of Ohio State. They did pretty good in Washington today. They dominated Washington at Washington. And that kid, Jeremiah Smith, is a phenom. And they don't listen. I'm going to tell Ryan Day, you only got him for one more year, man, before the NFL come a calling. Because he reminds me so much of Andre Johnson, the way he runs his routes, the way when he gets the ball and he's technically hard to get on the ground. He's not a small receiver. He's not a very tiny receiver. And I saw some of the routes that he ran today. It was beautiful, man. The touchdown that he caught.
Yeah. Well, he's always been such a talent, man. Even the first time I seen him, I was like, wow, this guy was playing like a senior.
True.
He just played. He just had everything, man. This guy is fast. He blocks. He run all his decoys. He does everything right.
That's right.
And you got to keep an eye on him, man. Even if they're not going to throw him the ball, because I mean, if you don't watch what this guy do, he fool around and bust open, and then they throw the ball to him, and you're not catching him. He's fast too.
Right. Well, they signed his younger brother already, right? Ohio State. They just offered his younger brother, and I believe his younger brother is still in high school.
Well, he's probably getting NIL money and everything already. Both of them. Georgia trying to establish something now. They're fighting, trying to get another score before the half.
Yeah, well, he just got tackled. Yeah, Alabama's defense is playing extremely aggressive right now because they can peel back. They feel like they have the edge on that defensive line. They feel like they have the edge in the defensive backfield portion, with the exception of that one play where the defensive back got beat. But
he lost 3 yards on that play.
Yeah, and he looked like he was shook up. The tackle but he's back up and he's upright. Oh wow, he may take this to the house. That was a big run right there for Georgia. Jackson running that rock tonight, man. That number 33, he toting that high tonight. That was a big hole too. Look at that big hole.
Yeah.
And a DB who number one, he just missed. He didn't want to tackle him. That's what it was. That DB, he took a bad angle because I don't even think he wanted to make the tackle.
Yeah. The patience of the running back. He just watched that play bust open.
Chauncey Bowens.
Nah. That DB DC took a terrible angle, man.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he wanted to tackle him.
No, he just took a wrong angle, and he's slow as hell.
Yeah. Georgia's pushing down. It's only for a little bit over 4 minutes. 2nd and goal. Stockton is pushing the ball up the field right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If they can go in 17-14, that'll be
that'll be back. Yeah, that'll set it up for a good second half.
Yep.
So this is 3rd and goal right here. So Georgia's got to make a decision. I would say if they don't get this touchdown, he just needs to kick a field goal. I wouldn't go for it. Even though he's down near the goal line, I think I would, if I was Kirby, I'd just go and take those 3 points and try to get the ball back before the half is ended.
Well, there'll be one score down either way it goes, but
right.
The best thing they should do is come away with something. A touchdown.
See, they try to run it right up into the gut, the belly of the beast. Like I told you earlier, he just need to go and send his field goal team out there. I wouldn't go for it because they probably will come up short, and that would be a huge disappointment if they get down this far down and can't score.
Yeah,
they going for it. It looks like it. So it's 4th and goal. They gotta do something. He didn't make it. They're short. He got out of the. Was it a first down? Oh, it's a flag. So let's see what happened with this flag. What
Oh, it's
happened with the
holding. It looked
flag?
like it's holding. It looked like it's holding in the secondary to me.
Yeah, the
Let's
secondary
see.
hold looks like DeBoer is pretty pissed off. Kalen DeBoer.
He was look to me. It was holding the secondary, but they didn't throw the ball over there.
He's still holding. A hole is a hole is a hole is a hole.
Yeah, he sure the hell holding.
Yeah.
I
So
see that.
here it looks like this play right here.
First
Yeah, he had his
down.
arms all the way around him. He obscured his ability to be able to run the route correctly. So they gave him a first down. They should score
Yep.
on this. He's still trying to run
You
it up the
watched it.
belly of the beast, but we'll
I
see.
see stuff like that. It just makes you sick because it was no reason for him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That play was not designed for that receiver at all.
Correct.
There's no reason to do that.
Mm-hmm.
None. I hope he don't cost his team on this because that holding was so unnecessary.
You are currently listening to the DC Stewart Show podcast along with my kinfolk Isaiah. We're here kicking it on a Saturday
Yep.
night. We're watching this Georgia game. We're calling it based on what we see, and it's a pretty good game. It's shaping up to be a really great game. Second half, it's going to kick
What we
off, and then we're
expect.
going to cover the second half. And at the end of the game, we're going to go over Freebird Tony's top 10 NFL safety GOATs of all time. It's a hell of a list. So stay tuned,
Yeah.
stay with us, because that's we're gonna be going down that list, and we're gonna have it front forward for you. So anyway, it looks like an offensive lineman for Georgia was hurt. He was injured, and
He might be cramped up.
could be.
He could
They
be
have a new
cramped
guy
up.
up in there though.
He's pulling his hamstring. He might be cramped up. It's a big old guy too, boy. Gee.
So it's a timeout. Second and goal, 2 minutes and 33 seconds to go. Man, Georgia's got a huge hulking offensive line, kind of like Miami's. I mean, all of
They
these
got
teams now, especially in these SEC teams,
they
they
know
have
what they
huge
know what it
offensive
is.
lines.
They know what it means to have them horses up there on the front line, man.
Absolutely.
These
Absolutely.
guys are huge too, boy. You
Mm-hmm.
talking about tall. And what I see in these young men now, when they're that big, they're not big and sloppy either, DC.
Oh, they're
They
big,
big
fast,
and
and
muscular,
agile.
man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Tall
I
sweep,
remember back
touchdown.
at,
Untouched. Bowens is running that ride tonight, boy. He toting that rock, and he running hard, too. Chauncey Bowens, 2-yard TD
yeah.
rush. All because of that penalty. That penalty gave
Yeah, but
Georgia's second chance.
if you look at this play, this rerun on here, man, these guys are taking bad angles, man. He could
And it
this
boils
guy had
down to
penetration this thing.
mistakes like that
Yes.
when you hold in on the goal line. Because to me, there is no rhyme or reason why you should hold a guy on the goal line. I mean, that close
He
down,
shouldn't have
just
touched that
running a
guy,
route.
man. The guy, I mean, it was right in his face, and he could have bumped him and left him alone or recovered from it if he thought he juked him. But to grab the guy, you just messed up. And now it's just like I expected to be. It's 14-13. I
It's
mean,
a
14 to
it's a close game.
17 going into the half. Yeah.
That was a pretty sweep because it looks like Georgia was able to get those guys out pulling in front of him, and there was nothing over there to put up a resistance. Looks like that defensive back was up on the line of scrimmage, and once he got trapped in the inside, it was wide open on the outside.
He walked in there, man. See, watch this bad angle right here. Look,
Mm-hmm.
number so what? Let's see his number. He got penetration in the backfield, but they took a terrible angle. Number 0. See number
Mm-hmm.
0?
Yeah, I saw that. I
He took
saw
a
number
terrible angle,
0.
man. He got in there, but he took a terrible angle at him.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible angle, man. Wow, these guys. And that means a lot too when you take a wrong angle at somebody, then you have to rely on your speed to catch them. And in a situation like this, you don't have enough field to catch them. It was a
Yep.
short part of the field.
So it looks like they had Alabama offense had 147 yards first quarter, and second quarter they had around 50 yards. It's a big drop off. They're not moving the ball as consistently and as easily as they were moving it in the first quarter. So now it looks like Georgia can kind of get aggressive and try to peel back, but they're still running the ball. He got trapped at the line. Looked like Georgia was ready for that run.
They got enough time to go down there and score. Well, they don't have any timeouts either. Alabama don't have any timeouts.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia has all their timeouts, but Alabama don't have any timeouts left.
So I'd like to once again thank all of our international viewers who are currently listening to us and viewing us right now from other countries. Thank you for your viewership. We appreciate that. Drop us a line sometime. Drop us a comment. We'll be more than happy to, you know, interact with you. And if you have any topics for us or want to hear something that you want us to talk about, please feel free to do so. So right now, let's look at the week 5, and we're already in week 5. So it looks as though Tennessee pulled that one out against Mississippi State, by the way. Did you see that one earlier today?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to see if I can pull up the scoreboard here. My computer is a little slow, but see if I can pull it up.
Well, you can't dictate any of these games, man.
It's hard to
Battle,
call
man.
them. I mean, it really is because you just don't know how it's going to turn out. Now, one thing I can say is Lane Kiffin had Mississippi ready for LSU today. Looks like they
Yeah.
were
That was a huge
Mississippi.
win for
The
them.
talent level on Mississippi's team since Lane Kiffin has got there has only gotten
Yeah.
better and better and better and better. Kiffin has brought that team to a level that it has not seen that I can't far back as remember. I mean, Mississippi was never a super dominant program as far back as I can remember. Do you remember when they were a dominant program
Well,
like they are
when
today?
Eli was there, they had a good
They
team.
had some good teams when Eli was there. You're right.
Yeah. When Eli was there, that was the most consistent winning I've seen them in a long time. But when Eli left, they had a huge drop off. And that goes to show you people can say what they want, but man, coaching matter. The leaders matter. It's just like with anything else, it matters. You
Yeah, it
know,
does. Mm-hmm.
when you got a coach that's in there who can command his players and he know how to surround himself with a good staff, and he also knows how to deal with families. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because you got to be able to interact with families to get these
Absolutely.
young
You
men
have
to
to
come
go
on
into
and play
these
with the
living rooms
program.
sometime and talk to these
Yeah,
parents and
yeah,
talk to a lot of times you're talking to mothers and you're talking to grandmothers or grandpas and stuff like that. You have to be able to go in and convince them you're going to take care of their son. I mean, because
yeah.
that's what it boils down to, you know?
And that's what it is, DC. And the fact that you got to go down there and talk to these mothers and fathers and grandparents, and you got to let these folks know that you're going to take care of their prized possession, because
That's
some of
it.
these family uh, they're single parents and they never seen their kid off anywhere for a day or so, and now they're getting ready to take off and leave them. And then another thing is you talking about raising this kid, and now they're going into adulthood, and they're gonna be once they leave the school, they're gonna be grown,
That's right.
and you gave them
That's
to
true.
them as a kid, and when they get them back, they're adults. So you want them to be in the best situation that they could possibly be in,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Kiffin does a superb job by recruiting because even when he came to FAU was starting to grow under his leadership.
That's
And
right.
but when this Mississippi
Well, when
job
Mississippi
opened up,
opened up, you knew he was going to be
it's
gone. I didn't
more,
see him
it's
staying
a
at
sexiest job.
FAU over
It's
Mississippi.
just a better job. It's
It's
just a
much
better
better job.
job.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're not worried about the climate and all of that type of stuff, it's actually a better job. It's a better school. It's got more resources. You know, the name is bigger. It's just a better job. The conference that they play in is a bigger conference. It's just a sexier job for a guy
Mm-hmm.
who don't give a crap about being in the sunlight all year round because you're gonna get your full seasons in Mississippi. You're going to get your spring,
Mm-hmm.
summer, winter, and fall there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's his type of probably parts of the country that he really want to live in anyway. You know,
That's
because
right.
he's just the same as Alabama. He was there with Saban for quite a while,
Mm-hmm.
so he's in the same situation that he in terms of climate wise. So I know he's loving it, man. And also, when you're able to take a team from the gutter and build it up, it makes you feel good. I don't give a crap what anybody else says. It makes you almost want to beat yourself in the chest or pat yourself on the back to be able to take a program where everybody knew that program was in the gutter, and then all of a sudden they plug you in. You start getting the right folks around you, and then all of a sudden the team start winning, and the communities start to come out there and support you, and of course you know those programs going to be able to feed everybody else because tennis and badminton and swimming and all that stuff they don't make
It
money.
relies heavily on football anyway, because that's the
On
number one revenue
football.
generator for any program, generally speaking.
Yep.
Right?
Yes. So yeah, and he's got that place sold out almost every week in terms of the stadium, and people are coming out there watching them because it's a good atmosphere. Yeah.
So it looks like it's 3rd and 1 with
Yeah, 31. They got a minute and 54 seconds to
that
go
was a good
before the
play.
half.
I mean, they that was a pretty good play. That wasn't bad. He had 2 defenders on the back of the receiver. I mean, on his backside, but he was able to zip the ball right in there. Yep, he just tipped it right
What
over
a
to him over the
beautiful.
first down marker.
Wow, what a good play though. That was a
Yeah, it was a
nice
good
play.
play. That was a great play call to get a first down.
What Alabama is playing conservative though, man. They're not being greedy at all. That's why I couldn't understand how Georgia was playing so far deep. Alabama haven't thrown a deep pass yet. I mean, I think they're going to now and during
Mm-hmm.
this couple plays. I think they're going to because the time is of the essence. But they've been really conservative.
Well, have you noticed one thing? And I'm going to tell you what I've
Yeah.
noticed. Simpson is in a pretty clean pocket. He's not getting a lot of pressure on him. For
Well,
Georgia to have
he
the
just has to
defensive line
run
that
out.
they have,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like he's worried about running for his life back
Right.
there right now, because
Yeah. Yeah.
his offensive line is doing a pretty damn good job at keeping his
Mhm.
pocket clean.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
can either roll out and throw, or he can either throw from just back in the shotgun, because that was a pretty pass right here.
Yeah.
So they got the right play calls. They're blocking, and he's a field general. He's leading the team out there on offense, I think. So they don't have any timeouts, so that's the only
They don't.
disadvantage to it.
No, they don't. But then they got to work that sideline. They still got enough time to go down there and score
And Georgia's
and
missing
leave
tackles
Georgia with
too.
anything.
They
Yeah.
just missed this. Three guys just missed a tackle on this number 17 for Alabama. He bounced off of like 2 tackles, and their defensive line is not getting any pressure. They're getting manhandled at the defensive line.
Oh man, what a good run!
Yeah, that's an
What
excellent
a
run.
really good run.
Yeah, Georgia's not getting any penetration. I mean, they're not collapsing that pocket on him, and that's one of the reasons why that offense is moving the way that they're moving. And that kind of falls under Kirby's purview. I mean, Kirby's the defensive-minded coach, even though he has a defensive coordinator. He's got a lot of input in the way things are being laid out tonight, strategy-wise, I would think,
Georgia just called a timeout now. I guess he said, "Let me burn these damn timeouts because
he's starting to see his players get gassed out there. That's what's happening.
These guys are gassed, man, and they confused. And you're gonna let these guys come there and I got 3 timeouts sitting in my pocket." Yeah. Where did they have game day at today, DC?
They had it at Penn State this morning. It was at Penn State. It was a whiteout day, and that's why I was saying earlier that tonight's game, James Franklin needs to win this game tonight. They don't have that option of losing. I don't think. They had a pretty good game day at Penn State today. And it's a tie game at 3.
Wow. You talking about dog fighting, man. What quarter is it? 3? That's the second quarter?
Second quarter. See, he's definitely giving Simpson the time he needs to throw. But no, I think this is a hole. I thought I saw an offensive lineman from Alabama grab a Georgia player. We'll see what happens here. It's definitely a hole. Well, they put it on Georgia. Yeah, it's on Georgia. I thought I saw an offensive lineman hold a defensive player, but that didn't get caught. Number 4, it looks like, or number 6 was grabbing number 2.
They have given them another first down on that.
They did. They gave him another first down, 1st and 10. They have plenty of time to score.
Yeah.
They got a good kicker, but it's still, I think they have the time to even punch it in.
Ooh, he was already open, but if he held them, he would have been even bigger. Margin of distance would have been even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, worst case, they're going to get a field goal out of this thing, DC, make it 10-14. I mean, 20-14.
Right.
Well, if I was in the Alabama shoes, I'll be trying to get a touchdown. I won't leave.
Yeah, definitely. You need to get touchdowns, not 3 points. Every drive or every series needs to be end in a touchdown.
What did he do? Call another timeout? Yeah, that's what he did. Kirby know what he's doing now. He let those guys. He called timeout, let them line up the second time, and call another timeout to make his adjustments to it. If they still score on that, that's what need to happen. Alabama still should score on them.
That's right. I like the competitiveness of the SEC. Like we were talking about Lane Kiffin earlier. Lane Kiffin, his father, Monty Kiffin, was kind of a defensive architect for a long, long time in the NFL. First with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and then he was with the Dallas Cowboys for a while. Monty Kiffin was. So Lane Kiffin grew up around football, professional football especially. Oh, they got an offensive tackle getting ready to run in and score. This joker's getting ready to score, man. Did he score? They threw a pass out in the flat to an offensive lineman, and he got it down to almost a 1-yard line. That joker is huge, man.
Number 74. Big old ox, man.
I thought he was getting ready to take it in. Look at him.
He stepped out, though, I think, DC.
Did he step out?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
looked
he
like he
stepped
stepped
out.
out on him.
He stepped out.
That's one thing they didn't
That was
teach him.
still
They
a
should
good
have
catch
showed him
and
how to
run
turn
though
it
for a
up.
guy that
But he
size.
should he should have turned in a little bit. He would have scored.
Yeah.
And he let it hit him right in the breadbasket. He didn't even look at us. See, he should look at his big behind. He should have went in and turned it in. He would have
Touchdown, Ty
scored,
Simpson.
man.
This guy's efficient tonight, man. He is playing above the rim. He is phenomenal, Ty Simpson, tonight. And to see him lead this offense like this, to me, is very unique and special.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they leave Alabama about 15 seconds.
It's 34 seconds right now on the clock.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Boy, there's some long faces over there in Georgia, man.
Yeah, and
Wow.
these sustained drives that Alabama is doing on offense, like these drives are really tiring out Georgia's defense. If you look at it,
Yeah,
it's tiring them
yeah.
out, man.
But that's why I don't understand how Kirby didn't call those timeouts earlier, man. He let Alabama drive down the field before he started using his timeout. He had three timeout. He had
Mm-hmm.
three timeouts in his back pocket, and he didn't call them until these guys was in trouble. I don't understand it. He let
Mm-hmm.
them get all the way into the red zone before he called the timeout to stop the momentum of Alabama driving down the field. Which
Mm-hmm.
I don't. He need to change his name. He got his name Kirby Smart and he be Kirby Crazy. To let them to go in with timeouts in your back pocket like that. He had all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
He had all three of his timeouts.
This guy is huge. That offensive lineman Proctor is a giant.
Yeah, yeah, he
And
is.
for them
And
to
number
design a play
74.
specifically for him is, to me, is
They
really
they did that
brilliant.
on purpose because that guy can move. He's big, but he can move, man. And look at that, they can't even tackle him. When they run the replay back over, they couldn't tackle this guy. Remind me of
William the
Refrigerator
Refrigerator
Perry.
Perry, right?
Mhm.
The fridge.
Yeah. Oh, Big William, Refrigerator Perry. He
Wonder
scored a
what,
lot
what
of
I wonder
touchdowns in
what
that
Fridge is
game.
up to now.
He was a brick mason last time I seen. This was years ago. He was laying brick. He had a construction company or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he was out there building houses and stuff. And it was funny to see him back then. He had a knocked out tooth in the front.
Yeah, he was Snaggletooth. Yeah, he was Snaggletooth back then.
Man, they was running all. He was a Clemson alumni. He went to Clemson.
Yeah, him and his brother Michael Dean Perry went to
Yeah,
Clemson. They said that they had those guys were from, they were from a little small town in South Carolina,
yeah.
and they would go over to the Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC they call it now, but
Sit there
him and Michael Dean
with
would
the
go into the
swivel chair.
KFC and they'd have to shut it down because they'd eat up all the chicken. That was the rumor back then.
I imagine, man, with them big old guys sitting down there eating that chicken, man. Wow. Well, them guys down. Oh, it should have been two scores, two 14 points if they would have did handle that situation right.
Yeah, he was from Aiken, South Carolina, and I guess the only KFC in Aiken was one that him and Michael Dean went to all the time.
All the time and just load up.
Mm-hmm. Alabama is looking very impressive right now, and we'll see if they can
I'm
hold up
impressed.
and sustain this the
I'm sure
second
he's
half.
impressed with them.
Because Kirby
Especially
has
if
to
they
go
come
in
away.
and they have to
If
regroup and
they
they have
come
to
away
make
with
some
a win on this
adjustments.
DC, I'm gonna be really surprised because their game plan so far and the execution of the way they running up and down this field and Georgia really don't have an answer for it is really something to respect, man, because Kirby, as smart as he is, he don't have any answer for what Alabama is bringing out.
That is so true. That is so true. So this is the end of the first half of the
Yeah.
Georgia versus Alabama game. It looks like Georgia is behind at 24 to 14, and Alabama has looked very impressive the first half. Ty Simpson has really led his team to some really big things in the first and second quarters. So we'll see if this can be sustained on into the second half. We're going to take a break during halftime, and then we're going to come back and cover the second half of the game.
Yes.
And we'll see which teams make the best adjustments or the most effective adjustments. And we'll see who comes out the victor tonight. So we will see you soon. Make it easy.